What's up, players? Welcome to episode 78 of Ready Press Play, your weekly source for everything that's new and exciting in the world of video games. Every Friday at 6 a.m. Pacific or 9 a.m. Eastern Time, we discuss the top news of the week, notable releases on all platforms, what we're playing, big topics of the industry, and the games we love. If you want to write anything to be read on the show, go to ReadyPlayNetwork.com or hit us up at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. No matter where you found us, please subscribe to the feed so you can get every new show directly to your device as soon as it posts. And if you like it, please leave us a nice review. This is July 9th, 2021. I'm your host, Louis Menchaca, and joining me today, as always, is my co host, Mr. Daniel Lima.
Louis, does it ever happen with you that when we start the show, you immediately get anxious about the idea that we forgot something? Like, did we forget to fill something into the doc? Did we forget to press record on OBS? Did we forget to set up the audio right? Did we forget to do this, to do that? Because for some reason, I have this anxiety sometimes. The moment that you start playing the intro, and I know that the show is starting, I'm like, oh, now we're just gonna wing this now. If we missed anything, too bad.
I know. I actually am having a little anxiety where I'm going to be looking like over here a lot, or my line of sight to make sure my Audacity is still recording, because during Ready Press Play, I my
Ready to play
Audacity's
movies?
oh shit, damn it,
It's
Ready
okay.
during RPM during Ready Play Movies this week, the last 20 minutes got just Audacity just decided to stop recording for the last 20 minutes of the show. Luckily,
Oh.
I was recording on video as well. Since we recently started recording on video, and as a result, I was able to harvest the audio from the video and just port it over to like MP3 on the on Audacity. So I was able to do an audio show in completion. But that would have been hella. I would have been hella screwed if I only had just the one source to pull from. So there you go, a little
You
inside
know,
baseball.
yeah, you did a pretty good job with that because I listened to that full episode and I did not notice any hitch at all. To be fair, I also usually listen to podcasts while doing work and stuff, so I'm not like paying full attention to it. So maybe if I was, I could have noticed something, but it felt pretty smooth. So good job on the editing there.
Actually, if you watch the video, you can actually hear the part where the audio cut off because for like a good five
Mm.
seconds, there's just we just went full on mute because for some reason whatever glitch happened on Audacity affected the video, but the video recovered, whereas Audacity
Mm.
didn't. So yeah, so
Interesting.
yeah, whatever. But yeah, so as far as the situation, yeah, I'm just gonna keep an eye on my stuff. Hopefully, I don't get any error messages. It's never happened before, by the way, in the history of a recording. We've been doing this podcast for over a year. Audacity has never just stopped in the middle of a recording, So
Yeah.
yeah, so but anyways, yeah, this is a games podcast, so let's talk about some games. Actually, I feel like what's kind of funny is like about that anxiety you're talking about. It feels like I should have some housekeeping, but I don't think you know what? I'm gonna make up some housekeeping right now. So I usually like to make a big deal out of my video game Smash Brothers annual tournament every year. I do it real big. Last year was hit by COVID because I didn't have the ability to have everyone over, and this year is not going to be much of a difference as far as having people over because although I'm vaccinated and although I'm comfortable with having people come over, we can all like do Smash or Pass again. However, I am not the only person that lives here, and this isn't exactly my house. To it isn't my rules. So and also there's some extenuating circumstances as well. So I can't physically have a Smash or Pass tournament. So I'm going to be doing Smash or Pass again this year online, and I decided not to make a big deal out of it. I decided just, what? I'm going to invite my three friends. It's just going to be four of us, and we're just going to play some Smash Brothers for a couple hours on streams on Sunday morning. So, yeah, I'm going to be doing like a little 3 hour stream Sunday morning at 11 a.m. on twitch.tv/chakalaka88. Um, we'll be doing a doubles bracket, and then a singles bracket. It's just going to be four of us. It's going to be very straightforward. 2v2 for the starter, and then everyone else is going to be 1v1 double elimination, and see where I get. I'm glad I am guaranteed at least fourth place. So there's that. Silver linings. But yeah, so And also, I'm gonna be reusing the same overlays that I had Dan make for me last year with the scoreboard and like the thumbnails. So I'll be doing it real big, just like last year. You'll see the vods on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/musing with Chaka. So yeah, I don't think that's really all I got to do is advertise myself, pimp myself out, watch Smash or
Yeah.
Pass.
Watch it live on twitch.tv/chakalaka88, I'm assuming,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So normally I would have like been like pimping it out like for like weeks on end, but I literally just like threw this together last minute. And also the every one of us, as far as competitors, is my understanding, is that we're all suck. We all got rusty. We all stopped playing. So I'm at least gonna be in like fair ground. So we're just gonna be playing at baseline like rusty level. So yeah. All right. With that out of the way, with that housekeeping out of the way, let's go ahead and I'll let Dan take over the show. Dan, I have to admit, I when I saw your list of games here, and I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. That's a hot take right there. So go ahead and hit us up with what you were playing.
Okay, so it's interesting, Lewis. You gotta get back to playing games, man. I feel like you haven't played much in a while. But I on the other hand have been playing a lot of shit recently. I'm actually still playing the game Spirit Fair, which I talked about like months ago. That game is long as hell. It's like the longest like indie game I've ever played. It just
Interesting.
go and I feel like I'm pretty much at the verge of finishing it now. So I'm only going to bring it up again once I'm actually done with it and I have some final thoughts to share, maybe. But the game, The Pedestrian, which I talked about last week, is like this indie puzzle platformer where you play as a little stick figure. I don't know if stick figure is the right word for it. It's like it's the how would you call it? Basically the symbol you see in a bathroom usually, right? Like the man or woman that you usually see represented in an icon and in a bathroom or in a sign or something. And you're just kind of playing through, going from sign to sign, doing these different puzzles. And I actually finished the game since I last talked about it here last week. The game is about 4 hours long, and I definitely recommend it. I thought it was pretty good. There were some pretty clever puzzles. It started getting difficult towards, the latter half of the game. In fact, there were some puzzles that I was stuck on for a while, but I feel pretty proud about the fact that I did not have to look up a guide at any point. And the game is one of those indie games where, and I feel like this is pretty common, where they kind of pull a twist towards the end.
Ooh.
You are introduced to these mechanics and this play style, and you just kind of go through puzzle by puzzle, pretty straightforward. And then at the very end, they they kind of do a complete shift of what the game is, and it becomes like they put you in a different camera perspective. They put you in control of like a different character almost. And then there's kind of this. I don't want to spoil it. In fact, I already kind of spoiled too much probably. But they do this weird shift for like the end of the game, and then you get to play, basically just another. I think it's supposed to be like another 15 minutes of the game in that way, and it kind of wraps up, and it's supposed to like kind of give it like some context of the whole like story and purpose of the what you were doing with this little stick figure character. And I'm not completely sure how I felt about that part of it. On one end, it was really cool. It was like this. It subverted my expectations towards like where the game was going to go at the end. But then on the other hand, because they completely changed the mechanics at the end of the game and it turned it into something else, I kind of struggled with what to do. In fact, I was actually stuck. Like once they do the twist, I was stuck for a good 20 minutes, like 100% not knowing what to do in this puzzle that you got to solve because it had completely different mechanics than up until that point. And then when I finally figured it out, it had that little like light bulb, like, oh shit, I see what they're doing now. And it felt good, but I didn't like the frustration of having everything get turned around and the mechanics that I got used to and good at get pulled from under me and have to learn this new thing out of nowhere. But
Hmm.
um So my point is like I don't know if the twist hit as well as the developers would have otherwise wanted it to, but ultimately solid game, pretty cool, recommend it to everybody. I think it's pretty cheap. I think you can get it on Steam, you can get it on PS4. And if you're into those kinds of like indie like platforming games, I think you should definitely give this one a chance.
Yeah, I see it for $20 on Steam, and there's also a free demo on Steam as well. So
Hmm.
yeah, nice.
Yeah, you might want to at least check out the demo. And then that aside, I started playing this game that's been on my list for a really long time. And I owned it on the Switch for a while, and I just finally turned it on, and it's the game Undertale. Now, Lewis, I got to ask you, do you know anything? Like, I know we talked about it before. I know you have, oh, you're aware of what the game,
This is
that the
what I
game
was like, and
exists,
I was
but
looking at when I was looking. I was like, oh, Undertale, that's an interesting one. I have it on the Vita, and I have not played it, but I've seen many a YouTube videos spoiling the shit out
Hmm.
of it for me.
Oh no.
So I know
That's
it.
what I was going to ask you. It's like if you knew what the game was about.
Yeah, I know what it's about. I know about Sans. I play Smash Brothers. Sans is a me costume with his little Megalovania song and everything. So I know all about it, and I also am aware about like those runs where you have to like I guess I don't want to spoil it either. For
Yeah,
like yeah
I just started
yeah
it. So, and the funny thing is I didn't know anything about this game. I known that the only things I'd known about this game is that it was made by Toby Fox, that he kind of became a known person in the games industry after this, that a dude made the whole game and that it was like this pixel art RPG and that a lot of people loved it and nominated it for Game of the Year and etc. in the year that it came out. So that I had kind of that general idea of it from that perspective, but I didn't know what the game was actually like. And this seems to be now that I've played it for, I think I played it for about 40 minutes only. So I just kind of started it, but it is a short game, so it's not like I have that much more left. But it's one of those where I feel like you just need to play it, and the least you know about it, the better. But at first glance, with as much I played of it, the thing that I could tell people that I think is not spoilery enough is that you should think of this game as a parody. This game is basically an RPG, like an old school RPG parody. It's it's taking the tropes and the things that you typically see in an RPG of this type and just kind of turning them over the head and giving you something that is different and unique and just kind of poking fun of it at the same time. You kind of never know what to expect, what's coming in the next corner as you're playing through this game. And I very much like that. I very much see why this game stood out to people because it's one of those things that can only really come out of the indie sphere. So yeah, so far so good. I want to keep playing it. I want to finish it. I feel like with how long this game is, I'll probably finish it in I don't think by next episode, but maybe in like 2 weeks I'll probably have finished it. And another one to cross off my backlog.
Interesting. Okay. I think you're
Yeah.
doing a way better job of like tackling backlog games than me, because I honestly, well, I think we're like due for like a backlog check-in, and I'm gonna be so fucking screwed. Actually, no.
To
You
be
know what?
honest,
I think we were. I think we're past due for a backlog check-in. Now that I think about it, we're in
yeah,
July. Holy shit.
we we probably are, but I was gonna say I'm not doing so well either because I beat like the Pedestrian was the seventh game I beat this year so far, but a lot of the other games that I beat were not necessarily in the last like backlog episode that we did.
Hmm.
Undertale would be the first one I think that was officially on that list, unless I'm forgetting something. I'm not sure.
Okay.
But
I
yeah,
don't, I
we'll
honestly
see.
didn't know that Undertale was a parody. I thought it was like a love letter to like games like Earthbound, is what I understood from the situation.
I get. It depends on. I think that is up for interpretation because I would argue that a lot of parodies are also love letters to things. But yeah, I say it's a parody because there's a lot of like breaking conventions in the game in a funny way. Like, oh, you'd expect this to go this way? Nah, nah, it's actually happening this way, and it's like goofy and silly instead.
Okay.
Um, yeah.
All right. Well, so I don't really have anything to talk about as far as Battle Bus goes. So we'll go ahead and move on to the news. All right. So for news time. All right, here we go. we have we got some juicy hot takes, or at least I have juicy hot takes ready to go. The first one is like the biggest news story of the week that everyone was talking about. It was just all over my YouTube feed. Was basically the Nintendo Switch, the non Nintendo Switch Pro, the OLED model. All right, so the Nintendo announces the new Nintendo Switch model with 7-inch OLED screen. The new Switch will cost $350 coming in October, and yeah, $50 more than the original price of the Switch that launched in 2017. This comes from Polygon. It says the new Nintendo Switch will boast a larger 7-inch screen and an OLED display when it launches on October 8th, the same day as Metroid Dread. Uh, the standard Switch has a 6.2-inch LCD screen and outputs a 1080p feed when docked. The Nintendo Switch OLED model will feature a maximum resolution of 1080p and a maximum frame rate of 60 frames per second, according to the hardware specification list on Nintendo's website. As with the original Switch, that applies in docked mode. The OLED model's built-in screen still features a resolution of 720p. Contrary to previous reports, the system does not appear to support 4K resolution when docked. The new Switch will offer an adjustable stand that is as long as the unit itself, a dock that includes a wired Ethernet port, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, and quote enhanced audio close quote from the system's internal speakers. Nintendo says that an existing Joy-Cons will be compatible with the OLED model and that the new Switch will be compatible with a full library of already released Nintendo Switch games. The new system will come in two color variations, one with white Joy-Cons and a white dock, and the other with a traditional red and blue Joy-Cons with a black dock. So, yeah, we can see some pictures here up on screen. The white dock looks sexy as fuck. And yeah, I don't really have much to say as far as the aesthetics go, but we're gonna get into it all. And before I rip this Switch a new one, I'll let Dan be the voice of reason. Go for it, Dan.
All right. So, it's funny, Louis. I went back and I listened back to our 2021 predictions episode that we did early in the year in January. And I remembered we had some predictions about this, and I wanted to actually remember what we said. And you predicted, the Switch Pro coming out this holiday season, kind of basing it off of a lot of the rumors and speculation and reports that we were seeing all over the internet. And I said, and I wish I had been more specific, but I was very vague about it. I said, and I predicted this, that we were gonna get a new SKU of the Switch this year, but that it was not gonna be the Pro that people expected. And then you call me out being like, well, that's a little too vague. And then I try to get into more details, and then it kind of falls apart because I say things like, well, think about the 2DS, and my point basically was, which is a point that I still maintain, is that the Switch Pro is what people want, and Nintendo has a rule, which is to not give people what they want. So I knew that they were going to have a new SKU of the Switch because Nintendo, with their portable systems, loves to put out many as possible, but that it was not going to be what people wanted. And I wasn't sure what that meant at that point. I just knew that it was going to be something different, something weird, either some half step or a step in a different direction. It was not going to be what people expected. So I feel like I was right in that prediction, despite the fact that I may have not specifically thought of this or specifically mentioned something like this, but it is in line with what I anticipated at that point. Now, there's a few surprising things. Is that it's surprising that we got so many reports from reputable sources with a lot of detail about the Switch Pro that was supposedly coming out. Um, does this announcement mean that all those reports were made up or just plain wrong? Or could it be that there is also a Switch Pro in development to be released maybe next year, which I don't think is unreasonable because we are not used to the release of a shit ton of SKUs with home systems, with home consoles, but with portable systems, that's common. And I wrote a tweet about this, which was going through like, hey, like DS, like during the Nintendo DS series, right? Like there
The
was the DS,
DS
the
DS.
DSi, DSi, DSi XL, and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then the same thing again on the 3DS. And when you really look at it, it's like you get to a point where every 1 or 2 years you're getting a new SKU coming out. So far, we're about 4.5 years into the Switch's lifespan, and we've seen four Switch models because it's the original Switch, it is the Switch Lite, it is the one that people wouldn't count, but to me also counts as a SKU because it is a different hardware that they had to manufacture and sell, which is the Switch with the longer battery life, the red box Switch. And then now this one being the Switch OLED. I feel like this is not the end of it. I feel like I would predict that before Nintendo is done with the Switch, we're likely to see another two SKUs. And those may come out like it might be one next year and the one the year after that. It might be one 2 years from now and then one after that. I don't know. It could be spaced out a lot more too. But I feel like this is not the end, is my point. For those that have the expectation of the Switch Pro, this is not necessarily the end of those expectations, even though it's probably better to just not expect it and then be surprised if it does come out.
Okay. All right. I hear you, Dan. You're like the voice of reason. But fuck Nintendo for this bullshit. Like, come on. All right. I'm going to tell you this right now. I have a conspiracy theory hat on here. I think the
Mm-hmm.
Nintendo Switch, this was supposed to be the Nintendo Switch Pro, but I think COVID fucked everything up. I think that there was a situation where Nintendo wanted to go above and beyond and go and give us that Xbox One X, model version, to the regular Nintendo Switch. But somewhere along the line, supply issues, whatever, like chip shortages, whatever the hell is going on, that's preventing people from like manufacturing cars, and Samsung being rumored to not be able to produce a new Note this year, that kind of stuff. I think that whatever's going on is just keeping them from going balls out and giving us a better processor, giving us that DLSS 4K support that I was like, jonesing for. That being said, that's pure speculation. For all your reasoning, your line of thinking, Nintendo probably has reason to not do what I just said because, yeah, the new Nintendo 3DS, as much as it was a better 3DS, there wasn't very. It was a very like small list of new 3DS
Mm-hmm.
exclusive games, and also from my understanding, they probably didn't sell that well because there weren't as many new 3DS owners as there were just 3DS owners. Period. And so as a result, they probably don't want to split the user base into like here's the pro model and here's the games that can only run on the pro model and stuff like that. But I don't know. Like I have so many different like lines of thinking going on right now. So for instance, Hyrule Warriors is an interesting like example because Hyrule Warriors on the 3DS ran like shit on the base model 3DS. And
Mm-hmm.
even on Nintendo's advertising on the bottom left hand corner on the trailer, it says best used on the new 3DS because of that extra horsepower and not running like a slideshow. So I've seen actual footage, like gameplay footage of Hyrule Warriors for the Switch, the Age of Calamity, running like a slideshow. And so I was hoping that the new Switch Pro would basically remedy that, and it would be best played on the new Switch, whatever. So, yeah,
Another another thing that I saw, and I'm not sure if this is true, you may know this a little bit better than I do, but that I saw people saying that Nintendo does not actually have much of a history of having hardware revisions that are focused on improving game performance, and that the new 3DS is basically an outlier in that because their hardware revisions are usually more focused on form factor or gimmicks or just fun like Nintendo things instead. Is that
yeah,
true?
yeah. Like the
Mm-hmm.
NES, the top loader, the Super NES got a little skinnier, a little shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you're right, but I would say like they're two for two on this one so far because I would call the
Mm-hmm.
DSi a hardware revision that improves the processor. It's got the DSi Wear and the eShop in there before the 3DS
Mm-hmm.
had it. So I would say like the DSi was sort of like the beginning of that trend, and the new 3DS continued that trend, and we've seen that in the console space with Sony and Xbox, where it's like here's an Xbox One X, here's a PS4 Pro. So everyone was sort of consumers are now sort of attuned to like the iPhone 4 to the 4S, the 5 to the 5S, the 6 to the 6S. People are sort of like accustomed to an S model, sort of, so to speak.
You know, it by March next year, the Switch will be turning 5. Let me ask you this. Do you think it's possible at this point that what would have otherwise been thought of as the Switch Pro will just be called the Switch 2
Yes, I think
and
at this
just be
point, I have now like literally thrown out any hopes of a Switch Pro. I'm thinking that at this point, all those features that I was hoping for is going to be a sequel and not so much
Mhm.
a revision. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe Game Boy Color, because I would say Game Boy Color was backwards compatible with the entire Game Boy library. I don't know. It's hard to say.
So we're talking so much about the the non-existent Switch Pro that we ended up not even really talking about this guy, this OLED Switch model. So
See,
let's
I actually have some thoughts on this here.
okay.
I was gonna go on a huge rant, by the way. So you're like stopping me dead in my tracks almost at every turn, but it's okay. All right, let me tell you this. This is a this is like a no go for most people. I've been seeing a lot of negative feedback, and I actually feel the same way. The reason why I think this is a bad move on Nintendo's part is because I don't see where the market is for this Switch, and in the sense that I have no reason to double dip on this model because
Yeah.
I primarily play on docked mode, and this
Yeah.
Cadillac of Switch for $350, you're not really getting that extra anything because if I primarily play on dock mode, having a bigger portable screen, a bigger beautiful OLED screen isn't going to do me any service at all. So I might as well just continue to keep my Switch. Also, the new this new Switch seems to only compete with the Switch Lite's audience.
Hmm.
Like if you think about the Switch Lite, its primarily driver is it's a handheld only, and I think
Yeah.
there's an audience of people who like to play in handheld and don't like to treat it as a console, which is fine if that's your jam. But however,
Hmm.
why would you know, pay like damn near two Switch Lites for
Hmm.
this Switch, which you're not going to be using in dock mode? I don't know, just uh,
Yeah, I think so. The audience that I think this goes for primarily are the people who maybe do not have a Switch yet, who would want to buy a new Switch and that are okay with paying the extra $50 for a better screen. Maybe I will not like just buy this one in addition to the one I already have. But if I was in a situation where I had to buy a new one for whatever reason, I'll probably just go and get this one. I
same.
do primarily play my Switch in handheld mode. And I do want to point out of the last two Switch releases with the Switch Lite and now this one, there's an interesting focus from Nintendo on the handheld play as opposed to docked play. So that makes me wonder, Lewis, because they most likely have stats of this stuff, if they're seeing that the majority of people play the Switch handheld as opposed to docked.
I wouldn't. I think there was a survey like that, like early on in the Switch's life cycle that said that as well. Like I'm in the minority. I know
Hmm.
that. I know like a lot of people that do like YouTube and a lot of like gaming media, like they're in the minority because they would have to either a play on dock because they have to for game capture or streaming purposes, but otherwise, yeah, it's practically the DS's successor.
Yeah, because something that happens a lot in my house is that I will be playing, like Resident Evil or something on Xbox, and then Leah will be next to me playing Pokemon on the Switch, or she's playing Breath of the Wild right now. Or recently, she started playing the Mass Effect Legendary Edition on or Xbox, and then that's what made me like sit down next to her and then start playing Undertale on the Switch. So I feel like the Switch never really gets the TV because it doesn't need it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it allows for that situation where somebody's using the TV while the other person is on the Switch. And I wonder if that's the reality for a lot of people. That's how they use the console. But I don't know. So yeah, I think it looks cool, but I agree with you. feels like it does. It feels like it really doesn't need to be $350, but we know that Nintendo is like the only one of the big three that sells their consoles at a profit. Um,
Well, I actually
and
thought you were gonna say it feels like it doesn't need to belong.
yeah, no. But like, because the Xbox Series S at $300 is being sold at a loss. The PS5, even at $500, is being sold at a loss. The
At
digital edition is probably being
400.
sold at a big loss,
Yeah, it's kind
for
of funny.
400 bucks. But
It's $50 cheaper than a PS5 and $50
yeah,
more than an Xbox Series S.
yeah, it's right in there. But that's at the end of the day, it's like, who is Nintendo in the wrong for profiting, right? Like they're selling these consoles like crazy, and they're actually making money on each sale, and for each, every time you buy a PS5, Sony loses money, but every time you buy a Switch, Nintendo makes money, right? And
Yeah,
that's why they are right now, I think, the most successful, money wise, in terms of making money, console manufacturer of the big three, especially with the Switch doing so well.
and the Switch
So I think,
has
yeah.
never sold for less than $299 as far as like the regular Switch, because
Yeah,
whenever there was a Black Friday sale, they don't do a sale; they just pack in a game with it.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Also,
And even
go.
even if the Switch was, let's say, breaking even when it came out, which we know it wasn't, but if it was, meaning if it cost 299 to make in 2017, I guarantee you it would cost a lot less than that now. You know?
I bet you
So,
the this OLED Switch could have been sold at 299 because they could the
yeah.
cheapening parts using the same
Yeah.
parts to do that. Whatever. Anyways, so it's conspiracy or not conspiracy theory, but like prediction hat on. Are we gonna see this OLED Switch completely quietly discontinue the regular normal Switch and then have its price drop to 299?
I feel like we will only, kind of like a chicken and the egg situation, I guess. Like, we'll only see one when the other happens. Meaning, it's not a chicken and the egg situation. We're only going to see it replace the original model once it's the same price, because Nintendo is not going to phase out the 299 model and have the only one available be the 349 model instead. Because I just feel like people, it would be at the risk of lowering their sales, because it's just supply and demand rules. Like, at a higher price point, less people will be able to buy the console. So I don't.
I wonder if like Nintendo is gonna do this thing where like they finally put the regular normal basic Switch for 249 for this holiday or something like
Mm,
that. So it's like
that
you
would be
got
nice. Yeah.
349, 249, and 199 or whatever. Or even better
Hmm.
yet, like the Switch Lights also go for 149. Oh my God, that's like new 2DS XL prices.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and I guess rant over just I guess closing thoughts before I give these little additions that Dan so kindly put on here. I just wanted to say this disappoints me. Those white Joy Cons and the white dock are sexy. Ultimately, this dock doesn't really need to do. I don't really need to own it because I literally spent like $10 on an Ethernet adapter that literally works for the dock, so I don't need a built-in, Ethernet dock, whatever. Anyways,
Right.
so speaking of the dock here, just throwing this out here, you can buy the sexy white dock for the OLED. It can be purchased separately, so yay, I guess. I don't know. It doesn't really matter because it's not anything special. It's just aesthetic, and it's just losing a USB port for an Ethernet port. So, yeah. Do you have anything to say about this, Dan?
No.
Okay. All right. And it's the Verge report says don't count out the Nintendo Switch Pro. It's kind of funny, like when we see this article, and it's like as soon as this gets confirmed and stuff like that, it's like, oh yeah, let's go ahead and like move the goalpost and speculate out again. It's like,
Yeah.
damn, we
I
couldn't
know.
even wait
I
five
know.
seconds before like
I
moving the
know.
goalpost.
Yeah, we don't need to read anything from this article. It's just making the same point that I've already made earlier. Which we might still see it, but it's better not to expect it, I think.
I like how there's a tweet on this Verge article. It's like, I'm on vacation today, but I'm going to leave this here for no particular reason. Game Boy, Game Boy Pocket, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance SP, Game Boy Micro,
Yeah.
all the 3DSs
Yeah.
and DSs. Damn. Yeah, touche.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess we'll go ahead and move on to the next article here. It says here that Ubisoft is reportedly shaking up Assassin's Creed with new live service game. Okay, I am I am not happy already, but let's see what happens here. Assassin's Creed Infinity is a collaboration between Ubisoft Studios. Ubisoft has officially confirmed the existence of a new Assassin's Creed game codenamed Infinity after a report from Bloomberg that detailed the new online service based game. While Ubisoft's announcement doesn't shed much light on what form the new game will take, Bloomberg reports that it will be an evolving online game similar to the likes of Fortnite or GTA Online. Infinity marks what is likely to be the biggest change in the franchise's history since its debut in 2007. Until now, Ubisoft has tended to release a new standalone Assassin's Creed game once every 1 or 2 years, each focused on a single location and a time period. But according to Bloomberg, Infinity will feature multiple connected settings. They may look and play differently, and this number may expand over time. The new game is reportedly years away from release. The title also marks a shift in how Ubisoft develops Assassin's Creed games, the company says. While previous titles have generally been led alternatively by its teams in Montreal and Quebec City, the new game is being developed under a collaborative cross studio structure between the two studios. Rather than continuing to pass the baton from game to game, we profoundly believe that it's an opportunity for one of Ubisoft's most beloved franchises to evolve in a more integrated and collaborative manner that's less centered on studios and more focused on talent and leadership, no matter where they are within Ubisoft, the company says. Okay, I don't feel like reading anything more beyond that. So, Dan, as a world-renowned game developer that you are, what are your thoughts on this?
I thought you were going to say, as the resident Assassin's Creed fan of the podcast, what do you think about this? But I will say this: I think this is not that surprising, and it is in line with some stuff that Ubisoft was saying earlier in the year. I think a lot of Assassin's Creed fans are going to be disappointed because the franchise will seems to be, if this is true, and it seems to be true, will be moving away from what they've grown to love from Assassin's Creed. Um, I don't know how I feel about it yet. I feel like it's one of those things where I would have to see what the game actually turns out to be and how it's set up, because I guess there is a scenario where it is a game with a great, 20-hour single player Assassin's Creed campaign, that then evolves into some live service stuff, which in some ways, they've already tested some elements of that with the latest, the more recent Assassin's Creed games that have gotten, expansions and updates and stuff like that after release. They've been doing that for a while actually with Assassin's Creed. Any way it goes, the fans have already been the old school fans have already not been super happy with the franchise for a while anyway, because of the directions that the story took. So I feel like Ubisoft is finding themselves at some sort of crossroads where they're like, we're at this point with the franchise where, the people that like it play it. Some of the older fans have moved on and are not playing it anymore. Each game is focused on a whole new story and setting anyway. How do we take this to the next step? How do we make this bigger than it is? How do we go for, mainstream appeal? And I feel like they're looking at the likes of Fortnite and what Call of Duty did with Warzone and what Halo Infinite is doing, and they're thinking that that is the way. I think I'm not excited about it, uh, but I'm also gonna try not to judge until we actually see what game comes out, because it's not like every game like this is garbage, right? But some of them are, and this is not what I would have expected from the franchise.
Okay.
I do just want to say that if they get out of the business that they've been in for a really long time, no worries, someone else will take the mantle, like Ghost of Tsushima kind of did already, as some would say. I saw with this news, I saw a lot of people say on social media, Ghost of Tsushima was the best Assassin's Creed game I played anyway. So yeah, so we're probably still going to see more of that.
But Ghost of Tsushima is the best Assassin's Creed to ever Assassin's Creed. But it's kind of interesting. Like when I read this article, just my first instinct, my first gut reaction is, oh, Ubisoft wants to make WoW. Assassin's Creed
Mhm.
WoW with game expansions and like yeah, just continue to build on it. I don't know. I'm not an Assassin's Creed player. I own a couple of the original like trilogy, and I never really played. I never actually played any of them, to tell you the truth. So I'm just not really like that audience, and also I don't do well with or I don't really like live service games much, with the Fortnite exception. So
Mhm.
that being said, yeah, this does nothing for me, and I kind of feel like this is a situation where I'm a little like I guess I kind of want to applaud them because they want to they're not risk adverse. They know that their formula is running a little dry. Maybe their sales have been like slumping and they want to rejuvenate the franchise. So good
Yeah.
for them for taking such a risk if you are gonna go balls out with making taking all of your resources and taking two studios resources to make a dense game. So yeah,
Mhm.
sure. Why not? That being said, just you know, Assassin's Creed games have already been known for nickel and diming anyways, so this is not really much of a leap. Also, the first thing that came to mind also was wasn't there like a quote saying that Ubisoft was no longer going to be in the business of making AAA games or something like that? I don't remember.
So they actually the actual quote was that, even though some people reported it that way, the actual quote was that they were going to invest more in making free to play games. But I even think they said like AAA free to play games
Hmm.
with like a live service model. So I am actually wondering right now if this Assassin's Creed game is going to be free to play.
That would be interesting.
Yeah.
That would probably be a good way of making sure it's successful.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
So yeah, I'm not excited. Not really. I wasn't. I was never gonna be excited, but I am. I'm interested. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
I'll like look at it from the sidelines. All right, we'll go ahead and move on. And yeah, Dan, I'm gonna tell you this right now. I did not watch State of Play at all. I was working and I was like, "Fuck this! This seems kind of boring." I've never really been one for being. I for one am never excited for State of Plays anymore. So, tell me, I was wrong, Dan.
No, you weren't wrong. I mean, this was like Um, I haven't watched a lot of the other ones actually. I had this one on my phone while working, and I was kind of looking at it with the corner of my eye while doing stuff that I had to do. So I didn't pay full attention, but it also looked like it didn't necessarily, not a lot of it necessarily warranted too much attention. Let's see, they show 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games. And a lot of them, there's some that we already seen before. A lot of them just didn't really seem to me and didn't really seem that interesting for my taste. There's a Demon Slayer game that they showed, and that was kind of interesting, but it was also, it had the English dub, and I'm with anime. I'm a sucker for watching them with Japanese dub and subtitles, and I watched that anime in Japanese. So seeing the trailer with the English dub, I couldn't help but just be like, like it just threw me off because the characters that didn't sound like what they sounded like in my head. And the game itself, I don't know, just looks like another one of those sort of generic like anime third person action adventure games or whatever it is. So didn't really do much for me. Then we saw Death Stranding Director's Cut again. That got a release date for September 24th. But we didn't really get to see much of what's different in the director's cut of the game, at least for me, unless I missed something. The IGN article that we're looking at here says it includes new battles and advanced combat mechanics, as well as items such as a firing range, cargo catapult, new story missions, and a racing mode. I didn't even really get to see much of that in the trailer, but maybe I got distracted when they were showing that.
Did you know Geico
And then
could
we got
save you
like 10
hundreds on
minutes
car
of
insurance?
Deathloop again, which they did say before that that was the main focus of the state of play. But honestly, Liz, that's a game that I'm just probably not going to play. And I'm tired of seeing it. I feel like we see it on like every event that Sony is involved in, you know. Um, and I don't know. I'm just kind of tired of it. I feel like we already saw what the game is. So don't really have a lot else to say other than that. I actually think that probably the most surprising announcement that opened the event was the sequel to the game Moss, the PlayStation VR game Moss, which was their first thing that they showed, and indicates that Sony's still investing in PlayStation VR exclusive games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's go ahead and just run through this article here. Let's see. It says so that says the latest state of play took place, featuring a smattering of updates of already announced games plus new reveals. As expected, Deathloop anchored the show. There's several announcements as well. Chief among them, Death Stranding director's cut, release date reveal. So yeah, I got some. I'm showing some Moss gameplay here up on this video here, and yeah, it looks cool. It looks interesting. I don't see like looking at these titles, looking at these thumbnails and stuff like that. They're really not doing it for me. So I don't know what they could possibly do, and it's not like Sony's what do you call it lineup this coming for the second half of the year is really like anything to write home about either. So I don't know. Just I will say that it kind of looking at this little this delay here that Sifu. I remember Sifu getting catching my attention like at a previous state of play or one of those previous like announcements and stuff like that. And it sucks to see that it's getting delayed to next year. So, oh
The thing that catches the
We
most my
finally found our
attention of
dream
that
home.
game is that the name of it, as somebody that speaks Portuguese as my first language, we have something that we say in Portuguese that sounds a lot like that game's name, and it means "f you." So like I feel like whenever I see that game's name, I read like in my head it goes like, "Oh, that's that game "f you." So, um, but but anyway, I do want to point out this state of play seemed to be, I guess with the exception of like Deathloop, but it was very Japanese focused. We saw a lot of Japanese looking games, like samurai stuff, like Yakuza type stuff.
yeah, like
And
this.
so it definitely seems to kind of lean that way. But I agree with you. Like it feels like, I don't know, like it feels like Sony does not really have a lot going on right now, at least from like a hype inducing, like looking at it from like the outside perspective, when you see like the Xbox's presence in E3 and social media and etc. I wouldn't even argue that Xbox has better games, but we at least know what they have. And I feel like Sony, they're doing the thing that they already did last year too, which is they're keeping their cards really close to their chest. And I wonder when we're gonna get a proper blowout.
If ever, what if it's like just drip feed? It's like, oh, we have one thing
Yeah,
now, and then here it is. I don't
yeah,
want to see a situation where it's like they only have one thing to show at a time.
yeah.
Like it's like, oh yeah, we're just gonna put all our marketing bandwidth on Ratchet and Clank because that's all we got right now. So
Yeah. And to be fair too, it's like, well, we did get, Miles Morales last year, and we just got Returnal and then Ratchet and Clank, and now we have two games that we know off in the horizon that are big, which are Horizon and God of War. So those are good signs, but it's less about the product. To me, it seems to be less about the product that they have and more in how they're managing the PR. You know what I mean? Like I feel like they could have done a better job at managing the PR so that they could create those like excitement waves with a little bit more frequency.
yeah, true, true. Okay, well, we'll see what happens with Sony's strategies. Hopefully things are like, hopefully we get like a PSX, in December or something like that, or like around the Game Awards
Mm.
time, and it's like a huge blowout, and everyone is like, oh my God, Sony's here, it's finally arrived. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, we'll go ahead and move on to the next story regarding Nintendo. We should have done the two Nintendo stories back to back. Now that I think about it. All right,
True.
whatever. Nintendo is reportedly planning a big Donkey Kong push, including animations. Insiders claims a new game, animation, and theme park world are planned for the franchise. So, you know what? I think they just sort of gave it away. I don't need to read the article, do I?
Not necessarily, especially because a lot of times the headline and the subtitle will be the same as the first few sentences of the article. But yeah, so this is not, this is insider information. It's not necessarily super like really confirmed, but we had already heard about a new Donkey Kong game before. And I was, is there a flagship Donkey Kong anniversary coming up, Louis? Maybe, or
Um, I think we
I feel
covered
like we
it.
just
We covered
covered.
it
Oh yeah,
during the
Temple of
Temple of
Time.
Time already before. With didn't it just turn 40 years old? We talked about like the
Yeah,
lawsuit with the Donkey Kong cabinet and everything like that.
yes, 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 yes. Yeah, I think the original Donkey Kong game just
81.
turned 40 years old, which when you think about it, that's even like a more, recognizable flagship than 35. And they celebrated Mario's 35, Zelda 35 a little bit. I wonder if we're gonna get some kind of like everybody's expecting, the Zelda 35 direct. What if we get like a Donkey Kong
40th.
40 direct, which nobody's even talking about? What if we get that in like September or something, and then they announce like this big Donkey Kong game coming out like in the holiday season or maybe
you,
early next year or something, and all this other stuff?
you know what's kind of
That could be
hilarious
interesting.
is if like
Hmm.
Nintendo does like a big blowout for Mario's 45th, but then ignores Donkey Kong's 50th.
That's true. That's true.
But anyways, as far as this, like I can see some images. It says here that according to reports, Universal Studios is already pushing ahead with plans to expand Super Nintendo World theme park with a Donkey Kong themed world. So cool. I'm not in the least bit surprised, and this picture looks dope as fuck. So yeah, I kind of we had these rumors earlier in the show, or like a couple of episodes ago, where you were talking about, or you were predicting that the team that did Mario 3D Odyssey or Mario Odyssey, they're
Hmm.
going to be leading and designing the new Donkey Kong game and stuff like that. So maybe those
Hmm.
rumors are still they're still true. They're just unannounced at this point, you know. So if they
Yeah.
had a situation where like you got Donkey Kong World coming, and then you got the new a new potentially 3D Donkey Kong game, and apparently an animation studio it says I'm just trying to sort of skim it. I'm trying to see what studio they're working with, but it just says they're exploring a potential of creating more animation content beyond the
Mm.
Super Mario movie. So no actual studio name was dropped in the article, but hey, if the Super Mario movie is actually something that Nintendo likes, I don't see why they wouldn't just give the Despicable Me studio, here's our assets for Donkey Kong. Have fun.
Yeah.
Especially
I
with
feel like
like
you'll probably
especially with the minions, they just seems like their slapstick comedy, their like gibberish speaking works for Donkey Kong.
banana. Yeah, 100%. I feel like that's probably what it is. I feel like that Mario movie that they were working on is probably already done, or close to being done. And I feel like the next thing that they're gonna do is a Donkey Kong. I think it's gonna be the same studio. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
I love Donkey Kong, so I'm happy to see it get some love.
Okay. And Dan, conspiracy theory time. Japan Studio has officially been removed from Sony's website. It's
This
the
is actually not. It's not a conspiracy theory, Lewis. This is more of like the resolution of something that we talked about a while ago, which is that Sony has basically shut down Japan Studio. But go ahead.
it's the end of an era. Oh my God, Ape
Mhm.
Escape. No, not you. Well, we knew that Japan Studio has been disbanded, but here's closure. The team has been removed from Sony's official website. Consider this the divorce papers at the end of a messy separation, perhaps. Astro's Playroom developer team Asobi has taken the veteran Tokyo team spot. Those bastards. On a PlayStation Studios page, which is already outdated following the acquisition of Housemark. Japan Studio is one of the oldest first party developers at PlayStation, responsible for series like Ape Escape and Gravity Rush. But its internally developed titles have failed to find commercial success in recent years, and had much better luck with externally developed collaborations like Bloodborne, which it co-founded with From Software. Dan, why? Why? I don't understand. Why don't you just keep them?
Well, I always liked. I haven't played that many games from Japan Studio, but the ones I did, I tended to like. We gave a shout out to Rain at some point in this podcast, and that was a Japan Studio game alongside the other ones that they mentioned there, like Gravity Rush. I thought was pretty cool and unique game as well. And the thing about Japan Studio is that they were the kind of studio that made weird shit, and they made a lot of stuff. During the PS3 era, they were putting out many games a year. So they probably had like a decently sized studio split and a lot of like smaller teams doing all these like weird experimental smaller games. And I feel like a lot of the quirky personality that PlayStation used to have in their portfolio came from Japan Studio. That was part of it. Those were like those weird like PSN games in the PS3 and then like PS4 era that would come out. And I feel like maybe even like something like Fat Princess might have been, Japan Studio as well, but I'm not sure about that one. Um, but now I feel like Sony is going in this other direction, which we talked about many times in the show, where they're more focused on Western markets as opposed to Eastern markets. Leadership is in Europe and not Japanese anymore, and they're also having this focus on AAA blockbusters. And with this new vision for the company, Japan Studio is kind of the one that sort of stands out as not really falling in line with the kind of stuff that they're pushing now. Like when you look at the studios page on Sony's website right now, it is Insomniac, Naughty Dog, Santa Monica Studio, San Diego Studio, London Studio, Media Molecule, Sucker Punch, Polyphony. Like they're focusing more on those studios, and they have something like Pixelopus, which are the guys behind Concrete Genie, King Sobi doing the Astro game, and that's kind of taken over a little bit of that mantle. But I don't know, man. I'm obviously like you sad about it. I feel like I wish that they would have kept that studio along, but I think maybe this shows that the games they were making perhaps were not really being that profitable for what Sony expects.
I think they should keep them though, even without the commercial success. I feel like there's like a situation that you have to like, it's Japan studio. You're sort of gotta like be Sony about it. You gotta be Japanese about it. You gotta, what do you call it?
Yeah,
There's that loyalty. There's also not to mention they're one of their oldest studios. You sort of want to keep a legacy going on. You know what I mean? And also not to mention like there there's a market for having both these AAA like marquee titles and having sort of your crazy niche like smaller games and stuff like that. I think you can. There's a world where you can put out Uncharted 5 and then Puppeteer 2, or
yeah.
that kind of
No,
situation.
I 100% agree, and that's kind of what Xbox is going for now, by having, Bethesda game studios putting out Starfield or whatever, and then at the same time investing in Double Fine, which will be making those kinds of games. So and Sony still has a little bit of that with the teams that they have left, but it's very little. There, it seems like Sony really wants to have, their core AAA studios that are putting out, like the game of the year games, like twice a year maybe. And then they're gonna have a lot of support studios like the ones we've talked about before, like Blue Point Games, potentially if they do confirm acquiring that, which I'm surprised that hasn't been confirmed yet. Maybe making some remasters and supporting. Then we're gonna get the PC port guys porting those games to PC. We got some other support studios as well. And then every once in a while we'll get something quirky out of Team Asobi or Pixel Opus or perhaps Media Molecule, although at this point I expect Media Molecule to mostly just continue to support Dreams, I guess. I don't know what they're doing. Um, so
Well, maybe they'll
yeah, and
make
I
a
think
Little Big Planet 5 or something, or 4, whatever the next.
yeah, yeah, true. But yeah, And the other thing too that we mentioned is that Japan Studio is like one of the oldest PlayStation studios as well. So in a way, you almost wish they would keep them just out of respect for the history. You know.
Yes, that's exactly what I was
Um,
getting at here. It just seems really weird. It's like I don't. It almost kind of feels very like backwards to me. Like when I think about when I'm thinking about how businesses ran, and again, totally armchair quarterbacking over here. But it just seems to me like you don't want to lose resources. You don't want to if people are bitching that you guys aren't having fast output, then you don't want to lose the ability to make output. You know what I mean? So
yeah. Yeah. And the other thing too, I was looking here, it seems like Sony has less studios in Japan now than they do in Europe and in the US. Because in the US, based on the list that's on the website right now, that's not completely up to date, but in the US they have Band Studio, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, San Diego, Santa Monica, Sucker Punch, that's six. I'm not sure where Pixel Lopez is. But even without counting that one, there's six studios. And then in Europe, they got Guerrilla, they got London, they got Media Molecule. So that's three. And then in Japan, they have Team Asobi, I'm pretty sure is in Japan. And then Polyphony, I know is in Japan. And then there's two that I'm not sure, which is Pixel Lopez and XDev. Um, but
I
I,
don't think they're gonna be. I don't think either of them are Japan. So
Yeah, so um Sony seems to really be kind of getting out of Japan. Isn't that interesting?
that seems very weird. I mean, granted, I didn't. I know PlayStation division is like largely North American based, but still, it just seems very weird for like the parent company Sony to sign off on these moves and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, let's go ahead and move on. And just one more. I'm gonna just say it one more time. Fucking double A games and single A games that Japan Studio is making totally could have been put out faster. You can churn them out faster. So, whatever. Let's go ahead and move on to the extra news. And Dan, you know what I gotta say?
Mm.
We got a baker's dozen.
We actually do have a baker's dozen, which is a dozen plus one. We've got
Yes,
13 items in the extra news. That's correct.
13 items
For
on.
the first time ever, probably. Yeah.
I think I did it on RPM like a couple of weeks ago, and I did say baker's dozen on the podcast, and I don't think Dan ever like mentioned it to me. He's like, "Oh, hey, no." So,
No, I maybe didn't pay attention or something.
all right.
Let's do it.
Number one, Rockstar co founder Dan Houser has formed a new studio following his departure last year. Number two, NetherRealm has confirmed that Mortal Kombat 11 DLC support has ended and the studio is focusing its efforts on a new title. That's pretty obvious, but whatever. It's nice to them. Nice for them to officially tell us. Number three, GTA 6 could still be 4 years away from release and feature an expanding map set in Vice City. It's been claimed. Number four, Final Fantasy 16 has broken its all-time Steam concurrent player record. Number five, a new RoboCop first-person shooter game is in development and slated for release in 2023, called RoboCop Rogue City. I remember that there was a presentation that was happening. I forgot the name of that. Whatever. Yeah. Number six, Crystal Dynamics has confirmed Marvel's Avengers players on all platforms will be able to select multiple of the same hero later this month. Finally, two Iron Mans rolling into battle. Number seven, Genshin Impact 2.0 will officially be unveiled on July 9th. Number eight, Japanese developer Level 5 has revealed that they are beginning recruiting for a brand new RPG project. Ooh, I wonder, is Level 5? They do Nintendo stuff, right?
Yes.
Oh,
But they've also done other stuff as well, so we don't know for sure. Yeah.
okay. Oh, because they're second party, I bet. Yeah. Number nine, a series of new job posts suggest Ubisoft is opening a Sydney-based studio. Number 10, the upcoming Super Mario animated movie will be available exclusively on Peacock in the U.S. once it leaves cinemas. Okay, I can live with that. Number 11, Resident Evil Village has shipped 4.5 million units since its launch back in May, crossing another sales landmark for Capcom. Number 12, The Witcher Monster Slayer, the free to play location based AR RPG, will release on both iOS and Android on July 21st. And number 13, Danganronpa Decadence, a collection of four Danganronpa games, is coming to Nintendo Switch on December 3rd. Oh yeah, we talked about it on E3. It didn't have a release date, and now it does. Yay! All right.
Yeah, so Level 5, they're the developers of the Professor Layton series as well as the Yokai Watch series. But they've also made Nino Kuni, it sounds like.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Duh. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah.
I wonder if it's an RPG. It's like, oh yeah, well, since that studio that created Mario and Luigi RPG series, since they shuttered, I wonder if they're gonna be like, hey, you want to make a Mario and Luigi game?
So Dan Houser left last year, is forming a new studio, or has formed a new studio. What do you think is going to come out first, Lewis? The first game made by Dan Houser's new studio, or GTA 6?
That's interesting. I would say it's probably going to be a Kojima situation where it's like they're going to sort of make it really fast, make it very small. Not small, but like
Yeah.
small-ish, you know?
I would assume that if he wanted to make another GTA game, he would have stayed at Rockstar.
Yeah.
Although, they haven't made one in like 10 years. Um, but I would assume that maybe he left. Yeah, a lot of times when you see those situations, the person leaves, and if they form a new studio, they want to do something different. A lot of times they want to do something small. They want to be part of, a smaller project that they have, um, that they can more easily control, I guess, than
It's
working at Rockstar
yeah.
must be insane. So yeah, I expect it to be something smaller than we might see in a few years. Although, and this was brought back up again during E3 prediction season. Remember when Ken Levine kind of went out to or not to reform, but to Irrational Games was turned into a smaller studio. They laid off a bunch of people, and Ken Levine was going to kind of go more independent to develop a smaller project.
Okay. I remember that.
And it's been, yeah, that happened. I think that happened like 8 years ago, and we haven't seen anything come out of that. So
Wow. That's
yeah,
crazy.
yeah, it is crazy. But yeah, I don't have anything else here, I think.
Yeah, I just want to say about regarding to that RoboCop. I just remember like there was like a live stream, like a presentation. I forgot. It was kind of like it gave me the vibes of like Gorilla Collective kind of thing, but I forgot. It
Hmm.
was uh
I didn't see it,
it
so I
was
don't know where that came from.
yeah, it was like a whole like live stream of like, and it was one of many announcements within that live stream. I think that was probably like the biggest announcement in said live stream. So
It
I
was
saw.
called Nakon Connect.
Yeah, that's the
The
one.
publisher of the game is called Nakon, which I
Yes.
don't know it, but yeah.
I think they were one of the publishers of one of the games that I reviewed for Level One Gaming because that name sounds familiar because I always have to like in the article and the review I always put the publisher of the game. So yeah. Um,
Okay.
as far as the these news items, man, they're not really doing it for me at all.
That's
So
fine.
we'll go ahead and just move on to check this out then. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Check this out. All right. So for check this out this week, we got a meme. I actually thought about this when I saw the meme too. It's like it's oh my god, it's literally a photograph of somebody playing Xbox through like an iPad. I'm guessing through like a X Cloud, and they're using a
Mhm.
DualShock 4 to play as well. And the caption reads, "Look at this photograph." And then I don't want to sing the song. Okay, it's one of the
It's okay.
it's one of our cloud gaming ads. Do you see what's in those ham? What do you see what's in those hands? It's a controller from a different brand. So
Now, the thing you forgot to point out here that video listeners will have seen, but audio listeners may not know, this is not just some random meme. This is a tweet from Xbox Game Pass. This is an
yes.
official tweet from an official Xbox account of somebody playing Game Pass with their PlayStation controller, acknowledging it in the lyrics of this in the um their version of the song or whatever that they posted in the tweet. And dude, like, what is going on? Like, it feels like the way that Xbox is playing the game right now is just so different. Like, we're not used to this. Like, you would never see an Xbox controller in an official message from Sony, right?
Yeah, that's definitely true.
um so it's I don't know, it's cool. Like they definitely got some smart social media people working there right now that really know how to create these odd memes, and actually create things that kind of go viral. Even if just, for a day or within a group or whatever. But I feels like they're constantly having these things be thrown out there. And there's another one that we're gonna get to.
All right. Yeah, I just wanted to say that this is A1. Microsoft has always been winning the meme game this generation. So,
Yeah.
and also it's so much easier to like, to make a meme whenever you're not trying to sell your hardware, you're just selling a service. So it's like, look how
Yeah.
convenient and look how many different ways you can play. So it's like
Hmm.
anyone can jump on board. You got an iPad, so it's like, yeah, makes sense. You know, hats off to them. And I can actually hear those lyrics. It's Nickelback, Photograph. I'm surprised they didn't want to do the other meme where Chad Kroger is holding the frame, where they always like,
Oh yeah.
CGI a new picture that, he's for the meme. So I'm guessing that Nickelback probably would have been able to like sue or something. So yeah, anyways, the other, check this out here, is the X screen for Xbox Series S. So this looks cool. It looks like one of those situations where it just sort of like kind of like connects to the back of your Xbox Series S. So it's kind of like that PS1 from back in the day where it had the screen that just sort of folded over, on the console. It looks like that. And it also looks like the GameCube, the little GameCube screen that just sort of folded over like the GameCube. You could just sort of carry around. This looks exactly like that, and it looks dope. Yes, I'm surprised. I'm just with Xbox Series S being as small as it is, it definitely warrants this.
Hmm.
Are you gonna back it?
Which well, I don't need to back it because so this is a Kickstarter thing, and it had a goal of $9,703, which is very specific. Oh, my guess is that it's probably like 10,000 in like Australian money or something.
Mm.
It's converting it for me. But it raised 63,829 already, so they're way past their goal. They're gonna do it. I don't own an Xbox Series S. I don't know if I ever will, although I very much like the console. Like, I think it's cool that we have such a powerful small console. It's perfect for travel because whenever I did travel a few times with my Series X, it was kind of a pain in the ass. I needed to basically have a piece of luggage just for it. Um like, not an
Yeah.
exaggeration. It's like I had this like suitcase for like the Series X, some games, some controllers, and then the little bit of clothes in between just to kind of keep things from rubbing
Scratching.
against each other and scratching and etc. But that was basically a suitcase. So in comparison to that, the Series S is something that can literally fit in like a purse or like one of those like laptop backpacks and stuff. You can probably have a laptop and the Series S in there. And this is a way to give it its own screen and make it a very convenient play experience. With this, you could even play a Series S on a plane potentially. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, it just looks like it does make it almost make a Series S into a bit of a laptop the way it's designed. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it does remind me of those old school consoles from back in the day as well. And I just got to say that my nephew, he travels around with his Xbox Series S. He has a portable
Hmm.
monitor and his backpack. It's all like nice and organized, and it's interesting to see that where he uses his monitor and HDMI's it all the way to it as a separate thing instead of it all just sort of being folded into itself. Kind of makes it more
Mhm.
compact and yeah. Uh, I will consider it. It looks. By the way, look at this like a little 3D spin here. That's so awesome. It almost kind of makes it. By the way, just as a separate side note, it almost makes it look like a unibody, like one body design kind of thing. So yeah, hats off, shaking. Yeah. All right. Last thing I'll check this out is Pokemon Go's fifth anniversary celebration is live. So there's some pictures out here on some tweets that I'm pulling up here. I don't know. I don't really have
Wait,
anything to say
wait,
about
wait, wait,
this.
wait, wait, wait. Lewis, you're looking at the wrong thing.
Oh.
I don't know what you're looking. The Pokemon Go thing. It was like a few segments ahead. So the only
Whoops.
check this out thing that you missed is a YouTube video that I actually referenced earlier. But no, that's fine.
Let's see here. Oh yeah, there it is. I totally must have screwed up the opening up the tabs here. So let's
It
see.
happens.
Is it this one? Ah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. I seen this. I seen this as well. All for One. They're like the R&B boy band, probably like contemporary, so like Boys to Men. They had the song "And I Swear." Yeah, they literally did an ad for Xbox where they rewrote their lyrics and shot a music video for it too. So yeah, memes.
Once again, another Xbox meme, going viral and stuff. So just wanted to throw that out there. Pretty funny.
Do you actually know the original song before they aired this thing?
I did. I definitely know the original song. I did not necessarily know the band's name. But I yeah, that song I was so popular, Lewis, that I grew up listening to a Portuguese version of it. That because that happens a lot, by the way, when a song like gets like internationally
Mm,
popular, people in other countries will like, I
well,
guess they'll
dub
like
it.
they'll buy the rights or whatever and dub it. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Oh, and let's even shot in the 4:3 aspect ratio. So nice. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good job. Good job. All right. So that's it for check this out.
Let's, yeah, let me pop you on your tracks and give you a suggestion. What if we push topic of the show to be the final segment of the show today?
All right. Fair enough. I was actually gonna
Hmm?
say let's punt. I thought you were gonna say let's punt topic of the show to next week, and I'm like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
You want to do that? You want to do that? Let's do that.
Yeah. All right. Cool.
Yeah, we're at like 117 already, and that lets us like chill and still end in like under 130, and then we'll do that next week. That sounds good.
You know what we should do? We should just make topic of the show the only thing we talk about next week. But whatever. If we can pull it off. If
Oh,
we can pull it
and
off.
that way we can make it a DLC.
And I can finally I can finally take a week off. All right, all
Yeah,
right.
so we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah, 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 yeah. All right, let's go ahead and I guess I'll punt the show off to you here, Dan.
What are you buying?
Hey, so starting here with our updates and new releases. Here's where the thing the Lewis read ahead of schedule comes in. Pokemon Go's 5th anniversary celebration is live, as reported by Jenny Zhang for GameSpot. While it feels like yesterday the Pokemon Go became popular, the mobile AR version of the Gotta Catch 'em All game is now turning 5 years old. Niantic will celebrate Pokemon Go's 5th anniversary with in-game events from July 6th to July 15th. Notably, a flying Pikachu held up by balloons will be obtainable, and there's an increased chance of encountering Darumaka and its shiny counterpart. So yeah, some Pokemon Go events happening here in between this episode and before the next episode post. So you might want to go and turn on that Pokemon Go again if you haven't played in a while.
Dan, I gotta ask you this: does it actually
Mm.
feel that Pokemon Go remained relevant for all of those 5 years, or am I just
I know people that still play. So I will tell you this. I think that Pokemon Go in summer of 2016, maybe all the way to like the end of 2016, was a mainstream sensation that everybody played.
hmm,
But since 2017, it has become something akin to, let's say, a game like Destiny, where it's not a game that everybody's playing. it's not a game that the mainstream is playing in large scale, but it has this dedicated fan base that is playing it every day and playing every expansion and stuff like that. So that still exists. I don't know how big that is. I don't even know if like a comparison to Destiny maybe is fair. That might be overselling it, because I know Destiny is pretty popular, but it my point is like it is this live game that has an audience that still plays it, and I personally know a few people that do.
Okay.
Um,
All right.
yeah. So, uh, next thing here, Aiden Pierce returns today in Watchdog Legion Bloodline expansion, from Game Informer. So Ubisoft released this week Watch Dogs Legion Bloodline, a standalone expansion that puts players in control of Aiden Pierce, the protagonist from the first Watch Dogs game. The expansion is a prequel story to the conflict between DedSec and Zero Day within the core Watch Dogs Legion game. If you purchase the gold or ultimate editions of the game, you can download the expansion now. Otherwise, you can purchase it on its own for $15 or in the season pass for $30.
So I just
So if
gotta
you
say
wanted some
this:
more,
that nobody gives a about Aiden Pierce. Come on.
I know, right? I know that expansion has a very focused target audience, which are the people that played and enjoyed Watch Dogs Legion that are starving for more content that have also played and enjoyed the first Watch Dogs game. I don't think there's a lot of those people, but I could be wrong. Um, the thing that always surprises you with Ubisoft games is that it comes across like all of them have an audience. Like even the ones that don't seem to set the world on fire, they find some audience. Uh, and the final thing here before we go and we read out the just the releases is that God of War is now available on PC if you have a PlayStation Now subscription. So the explanation here is that 2018's God of War was just added to PlayStation Now, and I didn't know about this, but it turns out that you can download a PC app for PlayStation Now on your PC, and you can play a lot of PlayStation Now games through streaming on your PC that way, and you can do that with God of War. So God of War is now playable on PC if you want to do that.
Oh, cloud streaming doesn't count.
But it does, because every you can't say that this is the case for every PlayStation exclusive. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
I do think it is mention worthy because of that. Now
Okay.
let's go to our new releases here. Today, day of posting, July 9th, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin is coming out on Switch and PC. Um, Monster Hunter Stories 2 Wings of Ruin offers both RPG and Monster Hunter fans a unique new experience with a rich storyline featuring charming characters, challenging quests, and friendly encounters with familiar monsters from the popular series. After Rathalos vanish across the world, players assume a role of a young monster rider who is the grandchild of the illustrious rider Red. Together with a mysterious Wyverian Anna and the self-proclaimed feline hero Naviro, players embark on a sprawling adventure that spans numerous destinations. As players hatch, train, and live alongside their monsters, they will encounter numerous new allies, foes, and challenges on their path to unraveling the prophecy surrounding the Wings of Ruin. I'm going to leave it there. Then we got Carved Space coming out on the Switch on July 13, Where the Heart Leads coming out on PS5 and PS4 on July 13 as well. And then Lost at Sea coming out on PS5, Xbox Series X and S, and PC on July 15.
Just want to throw this out there. Where the heart leads, someone at Level One Gaming got a code for that, so a review will be going up on Level One Gaming's website.
Cool. And now I guess we can say pick of the week is Monster Hunter Stories 2, even though there's really no pick of the week for the two of us, Lewis.
Exactly. Yeah, makes sense. All right.
Got a selection of good things on sale, stranger.
For Broke Gamers Guide this week, we got on the free games for the Epic Store. Ironcast is free now until July 15th. And Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead is also free now until July 15th. Coming soon next week, we're going to have Abduction and Off-World Trading Company. Then on Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead, I think Lewis mentioned this last week. This is actually a series that has had a lot of different crossovers. There's Bridge Constructor Portal as
Yeah.
well, and a
Everyone
few
was there was a
others.
huge hubbub about that one, by the way. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
It was like, oh, a new Portal game. It's oh, it's Bridge Constructor Portal.
Yeah, exactly. But the description here says prepare for the ultimate mashup experience. Bridge Constructor The Walking Dead combines the legendary and challenging puzzle gameplay of Bridge Constructor with the post-apocalyptic zombie universe of AMC's The Walking Dead. You know, Lewis, that's probably a way to make a lot of money, to create, some mechanics, some type of game that can be easily reskinned, and then just like reskin it with something else and then release a different version of it every couple of years. That's probably a way to make good money with like a small investment, with a like you may not be making a shit ton of money, but the investment is probably so low compared to making a new game every time that it probably totally compensates it.
Yeah, I
So
wonder like how much money these this studio has to like be spending money on these licenses for like Portal and Walking Dead and whatever licenses they've managed to snag. So yeah,
yeah, there's that too. Now on the PlayStation Store, there's a couple different sales going on, but I wanted to highlight the Planet of the Discount sale, that has discounts up to 75% on a variety of different games. And some good examples here include Resident Evil 7, $10, Resident Evil 3 is 20, Resident Evil 2 is 16, so a lot of the Resident Evil games are discounted. You can get the Kingdom Hearts all-in-one package for $25. You can get Last of Us Remastered for $10. You can get No Man's Sky for 36, and etc. 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 Any other
dreams
shout out you want to give there, Lewis?
dreams for $10.
There we go. There we go. And we got some new games coming soon to Xbox Game Pass. Dragon Quest Builders 2 is coming to cloud on July 8th. Tropico 6 is coming to cloud, console, and PC on July 8th. UFC 4 is coming to console on July 8th. Blood Roots is coming to cloud, console, and PC on July 15th. Farming Simulator 19 is coming to cloud, console, and PC on July 15th. The Medium is coming to cloud on July 15th. And then I wonder if they have on this list the games that are missing or leaving Game Pass. There we go at the end. They're leaving soon. On July 14th, Spurs UFC into leaving console. And then on July 15th, Endless Space 2 is leaving PC, Downwell is leaving PC, and Crosscode is leaving cloud, console, and PC.
Man, I just wanna live in a world where it's like Game Pass is unified amongst all platforms, where it's like cloud, Xbox, and PC. It's the same lineup everywhere. But
Oh yeah.
that would be cool.
Oh yeah. The other thing I wanted to spotlight here is that there is a GameStop summer sale, but it is almost done. This ends on July 10th. So by the time you're listening to this, you probably only have like 1 or 2 days to go and take advantage of it. But they have up to 60% off a bunch of games. They have $25 off on Mario Kart Home Circuit. Some of the games that are discounted include a bunch of Nintendo games like Mario Odyssey, Link's Awakening, Three Houses, Luigi's Mansion 3. Cyberpunk is down to $25 for both the Xbox One and the PS4. Reminding people that you can get, for instance, the PS4 version and play it on your PS5. And it runs pretty well on next gen. Spider-Man Miles Morales is $40. Lots of different discounts there if you want to go check it out.
Damn, Sackboy: A Big Adventure for $30. What?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a good one too. That one's half off and it's relatively recent. And then finally, there's also a digital game sale going on at Newegg. So basically, you can get these digital codes through Newegg for cheap. For instance, you can get the Outer Worlds, the Steam code for it for $17.79. It usually retails for $60. So that's a big discount there. As well as Near Replicant, the one with the really long name that came out earlier this year. You can
Yeah.
get for $40 there. So lots of good deals on that one too.
All
Lots
right.
of deals today, Liz.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
it.
You managed to find some interesting like deep cuts and stuff like that. I
Yeah,
actually makes me want
I
to go to
know.
GameStop, by the way, just to get a $60 launch title for the PS5 for $30.
Yeah,
Actually, no,
yeah.
it was
If you're if
70. Actually, wasn't it when it first launched? Was it?
no, no, because they price the games different depending on what the games were. Because like I'm pretty sure it was Demon Souls was $70, then Sackboy was $60, and then Miles Morales was $50. Although they had the Miles Morales
Yeah,
Ultimate Edition that was
$70.
$70,
Yeah.
you know. So they were exploring a lot of different price points with the launch titles for the PS5.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and wrap it up here. It is time to end. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Ready Press Play. Remember, you can reach the podcast at ReadyPlayNetwork.com or simply at Ready Press Play on Twitter or TikTok. I'm on Twitter at Chakalaka88 and Dan.
At the Dan Lima.
Don't forget to subscribe, give us a review, tell your friends about the show, and all that good stuff. See you next time.
Bye bye.